Morning, Salome B here, and today we're going to talk about Jay-Z. I know I'm late. Okay, reporting on Jay-Z, but I had to do some research because I wanted to see what Jay-Z was saying, if it was true, and I wanted to see. So number one, Jay-Z gets dragged for comments he made about single parents. In a clip from January panel, Hove explained that growing up in a single parent home could have an adverse feeling towards authority, leading to tell the police, "Fuck you." He added those reactions could cause people to lose their lives. So people are dragging him for that, saying that just because people or unarmed black men are getting an attitude with the police is getting them killed. A couple of people were saying just because you get an attitude with the police doesn't mean they can kill you and all that. But Jay-Z is saying that with that attitude, it is causing the death of our unarmed black men. Okay? So I did some research. I wanted to see if single parent households were the cause of a lot of the delinquency that's going on with the children in the street, a lot of the teen pregnancy, a lot of the suicide and all this. So what I found, an article called Single Parent Households and Children Educational Achievement, a state level analyst. There was an analyst done in 94 or 2000. It was a lot of research done. And they examined changes in the percentage of children living with single parents between 1990 and 2011. Single parent homes increased during the 20th century. Only 90% of children live with single parents. In the 1960s, a figure that increased to 28% in 2012. So 9% of children were in single parent homes in the 1960s, and it shot up to 28% in 2012. So that tells you that there's an epidemic with single parent homes. And single parent homes are not just to blame for the delinquency of children and unarmed black men being shot by the police or saying fuck the police. It's also the Democrat Party laws, like the crime bill that Joe Biden and Bill Clinton wrote, that added to the single parent household, because the black men in the 1980s that sold crack cocaine were snatched out of their homes, and that created single parent households. Okay, so according to Child Trends 2013, half of children will spend time with a single parent. Observations suggest that the rise in single parenthood has lowered or slowed improvement of the educational achievement of children. So not only the single parent households contribute to the delinquency of the police issue with unarmed black men and stuff like that, and delinquency and dropouts and all of that, that's the observation. And it has an effect on children's grades and reading levels. Single parent households, because, and the reason why single parent households affect children's learning, it's because the mother has to work more because the father is absent. Number two, there's less income because children that are born in two-parent households with two incomes, they are far more likely to achieve than someone in a single-parent household, according to statistics. So observations have claimed that the rise of single-parent families, high rate in divorce and non-marital childbearing, conclusion, single-parent homes lead to poor grades, non-marital sex, and poverty. This is what statistics are saying, and the statistics are agreeing with Jay-Z. They're adding up to everything that he says. If you want to find out what truth is, look at the statistics and look at the numbers. Numbers do not lie, people do. The effects of a single-parent home on a child's behavior: having only one earner puts single-family homes at risk for poverty. Living in poverty is stressful, can have an effect on the child's self-esteem, increased anger and frustration, and an increase in risk for violent behavior. Feeling abandonment, sadness, loneliness, difficulty socializing with others. So this is what goes on in a single-parent household. Now, I can say that single-parent homes constitute our population, according to the federal interagency. Nearly 30% of children were part of a single-parent family in 2006. Primary caregivers were mothers. Divorce increased in 1960s and 1970s. So the single-parent epidemic started in the 1960s on to the 1970s, 80s, 90s, you know. So in 1992, Dan Quayle condemned Murphy Brown for having a child out of wedlock. Children of single mothers are more than likely to drop out 2.5 times at a 2.5 rate. Lower college expectations, poor grade point average, poor attendance records as adults, they have high rates of divorce. Dropout rates, 2-parent homes is 13%. From single-parent homes is 19%. So when you have the two-parent households, for a dropout rate is 13%. For a one-parent household is 19%. With a one parent in the household, it's 19% that a child will drop out in a single-parent household. So the statistics have been done because there's a single-parent epidemic. So now that we saw the numbers don't lie. Okay, single-parent households lead to poverty, low grades children, dropout rates being high, suicidal rates because you only have one parent in the household. Like single parents, I can say that sometimes a single parent household can be good for a child, just like if two people are together and there's domestic violence and the family needs to part, then I agree with that. But just single parent households, just being a part of the United States, the statistics show that single parent households are basically making up poverty, the poverty spectrum. And these are the people who are going to drop out, not make money, be poor, and things of that nature, and have delinquency, bad grades, things like that. So those are the statistics. I will post them down in the link of all the articles that I have pulled from. And That's what it is. What Jay-Z was saying, that when you don't have that father in. All right, so what I was saying about the single parent household is that when a single parent is left with bills and children and responsibility, and they have no one to turn to, stress comes in, and then stress leads to depression, and then that person gradually gets sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker to the point of poverty, because that takes a toll on one person. I don't think anybody was meant to raise a child alone. And when you have to do that by yourself, it's hard. And your children run around lacking things, and when they lack things, it's a human instinct to go and find what you lack. So it's hard. It's hard when you come from a single parent household. I know, because I came from a single parent household in the 80s. Most of people in the 80s come from that background. If you're black and your father got caught up in the system of locking up men for crack cocaine, yeah. So I know, and it's hard. It's hard. It's hard on the mental. It's hard on the self-esteem as a child. And when you come up, you still have a hard, long way to go. And you got to fight to get over the stuff that you lack. And you got to be able to be okay with yourself and nurture yourself to where you don't have to depend on anyone else to get that. And the best way to do that is to have a certain religion. I don't care what the religion is, if you have it so you can relieve the stress and you can still be a whole human being. So this is what I think. You got the statistics. So tell me what you think about what Jay-Z said, and is there some truth to it? Now, I don't think that all single parent households produce criminals and things like that. I don't believe that, because you have athletes like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, people like that still succeeded with one parent. And sometimes greatness can come out of a lot of stuff like that, a lot of stress. But we have high amounts of crime. And anytime a person does a crime, they're going to start looking in your background, how you were raised. And once they see that you didn't have a father in the household, that's going to be a problem. Because then they're going to say, you didn't have that extra person to tell you or keep you in line or keep you out of trouble, tell you about the law, you know. And a lot of parents today are not political. They don't want to deal with politics, but their children are getting killed by the political system, which is called the police. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about blaming other people. We can't blame other people for the single parent issues. We have to basically do better as women and make sure that our children are healthy and they stay safe, and make sure that they have role models. If you're going to keep on having children they're going to need role models. And if there's not a man in the household, it took a man to make the child. So you're going to need the man. I don't know why everybody in America with this feminist movement, they want to get the man out of the way. The man, you can't get the man out of the way because it took the men or the man to make the child. It takes two to make a child. So it's going to take two to raise a child. It's just that. So that's what I got. Tell me what you think about Jay-Z. If you came from a single parent household, how was it for you? Are you doing good, or are you having some issues? Let me know, because not everybody will be messed up coming from a single parent household. It's just a big majority are causing issues. So we need to check it out. Like, share, subscribe. Salon B. Have a great evening.